Stormy weather is exciting, but it's no fun. You don't like to be out in it, really. If you're caught out in it, there's a certain, I'm talking about internal stormy weather now. If you're caught out in internal stormy weather, there's a part of you that calls it exciting, that calls it something to do with yourself, but it is no fun. Since when is it fun to get struck by lightning, to be pelted by hailstones, to fall down in the snow? But a human being who has only lived in stormy country all his life never has known anything but that. You tell him about something else and he'll reject it and continue to love where he is. You must begin, and you might as well start right now, to see that what you're calling your proper life, your interesting life, your fun-filled life, is a stormy life that is hazardous. Aren't you aware that you don't know what the next step is, and therefore you fear it might be into a snowbank, or you might walk into a certain place where the lightning suddenly comes down and strikes you? You have a sense, all of you here listening to me, have a sense of being in danger, but you don't know what to do about it, and you don't know what to do about it because you don't want to know. There is something very wrong inside of you that has taken the storm as good, that has taken stormy internal weather as the only thing there is. And you never challenge that assumption. You fight anyone who comes along and tries to tell you different, who tries to lead you out of the storm, for fear of losing your fear. For fear, listen to this, you won't follow the truth out of the stormy weather for fear of losing your sense of being in danger. Now look, that's what's called being crazy. You want to know whether you're crazy or not? Judge it by that. Don't you dare call yourself sane or intelligent or adequate or able to live rightly in this world, as long as you cling to what you have and never let anyone try to tell you anything different. Now we're going to investigate this very weird state in human beings in which they haven't any interest at all in getting out of the land of the lightning and the thunder and the floods. They're not interested in it. It so happens that they can get out of it. Anytime they want, they can start to listen to something different and they can get out of it. They don't want to get out of it. For fear of losing their sickness. Do you understand that? Do you understand that in yourself? That you're terrified at the thought of reality taking away your neurosis, your sickness. Your lies that you know what you're doing. That's the last thing anyone knows is what they're doing. They don't know at all what they're doing. They're complete fakes, bluffers, liars, without conscience. You know the rule? Let me state the rule to you again. Whatsoever you do unto yourself, whatsoever you do against yourself, you do unto all whom you meet. Where are you going to find a husband who loves his wife? Where are you going to find him? He doesn't exist. Where are you going to find a wife who really cares for her husband? parents who care for your children, as if parents care for their children. They've lost their own souls. How can they care for their children? They have nothing right to do, no place to go, and they're not interested in it. Now, I'm going to explain to you why all this terrible, dreadful facts, why they are true. I'm going to show you the way out of it, too. You see, in human beings, there is a certain want, W-A-N-T. There is a very strong emotional and mental and physical want. It expresses itself physically, too. This want says, I want to behave in a certain way. I want to be part of the stormy weather. I want to thunder, be part of the thunder and the lightning and the crashing and the smashing. I want to be part of that. Now, the first thing you should understand is that this emotionalized, mechanical, forceful want is not the individual. It's not his nature. It's an imposition. You know what an imposition is? Someone forced themselves on you, whatever. Evil, sleep, sickness is an imposition only, not a necessity. People want it to be a necessity, therefore make it one. There is a want, therefore, inside of a person that says, I want a stormy nature. And they won't let you take it away from them. You have your stormy nature yet, right? Varieties of it. Hidden hysteria. You described to yourself your particular fondness for a stormy emotional life, mental life too. That want is also, besides not being a part of the man's original nature, is also an obsession, an evil obsession, in which the man clings to it, identifies with it, wants it above anything else, and that's why he keeps it above all attempts of truth to try to straighten out his life. What you are going to have to do is to understand that this fierce want, for example, to blow up, that this fierce want is, learn the facts that I've given to you up now, it's controlling your life. It has hoodwinked you into thinking that it is good and necessary for you. It has dominated you. It repeats itself in you. And you are going to have to see it only as a want. Now, a want is not you. It is something that you acquired through watching your father get mad every half hour. And seeing your mother get equally mad but suppress it because she was afraid he'd leave her if she yelled at him. You all lived in homes, didn't you? I don't have to tell you about that. You were back in your bedroom and you listened through those walls and scared you, didn't it? That bedroom listening into what happened out in the living room when your parents were out there, that's what's made you what you are today. See, you didn't know any better. You didn't have judgment. All right, you're not 5 or 10 years old anymore. You're older than that. You're an adult. And you can get out of that bedroom. You can see them as they were. Oh, look, sure they were pathetic. Any adult who ever hurt you was pathetic. And they were also very vicious. And you grew up to be the same way, didn't you? Did you grow up to be the same way? Sure you were. You didn't know. No one ever told you. You're being told now. Now you can change. All right. This want to be angry, for example, and substitute any word you want for anger, to be jealous, to be self-righteous, to lie and hurt people. This want is now in total possession of you. You don't see it. I tell you, you do not see it. Your eyes are closed to it, and you just fall into it. And this is 99% unseen anger, right? You're very rarely angry at people out there. Sometimes you get... How many of you blow up at home when you're all alone? You know? Throw things, maybe? All right. It was there all day long, wasn't it? I'm going to give you a start on shattering your false affection for remaining a lover of stormy weather. And oh, listen to me. It will fight you. For years it will fight you. And you'll think you finally got rid of your anger, right? You thought you had got rid of it the 3 days after you came to your first class, didn't you? Someone took your fork at the banquet. You're not supposed to eat Jell-O with a fork anyway. I don't want that want anymore. Yeah, I know you're tricky. I know you're persistent. And I have no doubt at all that I'm going to fall another 20, 30, 50,000 times under you. But I am going to start by inviting it from something high. I'm going to start to invite a new want. That's not me. That's not intellectual. A want that has no false excitement in it, as does my want for anger. It's going to be different. I'm using the word. I have to use words to describe things. Want. But I understand a little bit what I'm talking about when I say I want to be mad. A little bit. When you get mad, I want you to see you want to be. You want to be. Now, get it down. You want to get angry when you get angry. You want it. If you didn't want it, you wouldn't get mad. See, you get telling people things like this, and they begin to get a little uneasy because the responsibility is beginning to be placed where it must be placed, right? You don't like that. We're here to take all the shocks necessary to get out, so we're not shocked by our own unconscious assaults all the time. You have asked, invited for a new want without even knowing what it is. You don't know what it is yet, do you? You're just asking for it. Inviting it. Now here's what's going to happen. I don't want that want to be angry to dictate to me anymore because I see the storm is bad, not good. There's no fun being scared out there. It's no fun. It's no fun being terrified. At the next expression on my wife's husband's friend's face, it's no fun to live in tense anxiety that I'm going to do some little thing wrong and he's going to yell at me. That's no fun. And I'm going to stop calling it fun. Do you look? Beneath it all, you must see that you do want to be resentful. You do want to be irritated. You want that more than you want to understand why you stick around people like that. And besides, you're part of it or you wouldn't be with that person. Two people interreacting in hostility all the time. There's something wrong with both of them. God never requires you to be permanently with a human being who prefers the storm. You are instructed, listen to this, you'll sound familiar to you. You're instructed to leave all and follow truth. Now, what does the word all mean? The word all means all. Outside, inside. Friends, enemies. Beloved thoughts about the storm, thinking that you can fight it. All right. It is going to fight you endlessly once you introduce into your life this new want. Now, what does this new want consist of? It certainly has nothing to do with the old want of you wanting to get angry. It means that you are going to watch yourself the next time you want to slip into anger. You watch yourself slipping into it, and at that moment, you remember the spiritual principle that you remember what you said, what you vowed. I don't want that want anymore. That will crack it. I absolutely guarantee you, over a period of time, if you know, what makes you mad? Everything? Okay. Have you noticed that you have your favorite anger? Popular pastime anger? I told you not to do that. You do it again. You're nagging at somebody. How many of you act like that? You watch one of your favorite angers, which you look forward to just as much as you look forward to your lunch. You do. Because it's food for you. False food. Watch the situation. Watch yourself about to fall into your excitement. Oh, good, I'm going to get mad. You're excited over it. You're to remember the new want that you don't want to go along with that anymore. So you fail. So what? You go back to it. Go back to it. Go back to it. Let me get a little side thought so we can go so many ways on this. Do you know why you're afraid? Do you know why you're afraid and angry at the same time? They both go together. You're angry and afraid because you think that someone is going to see through you. You have a certain image or even a public behavior, and something comes along, some little disgraceful news about you, and you hear this disgraceful news about you and you get afraid, and that's followed by anger, right? And then you attack someone. What right do you have to say that about me? Don't you pass slander about me around? Don't print that in the newspaper or whatever. If you could see that, you'll be digging very, very deep into your unconscious areas to see why you get angry and mad and don't want to get this new want in it. You get angry because you're afraid of exposure. And I want you to know, it is not your fear of exposure to other people that bothers you in the major way. It's fear of self-exposure. Because if you're exposed as a phony, you can't even call yourself a clever phony anymore, can you? You're going to see that you're no one. And then you make the mistake, but if I'm no one, who am I? What a dumb statement. If you ever get to the point where you really, honestly, deeply, thoroughly see that you're no one, you wouldn't dream of asking the question, but who should I be? Because you see that this disappearance of your ego self, your conceited self, that the disappearance of that is the disappearance of that is heaven itself. Well, aren't you hell? Yes. In your present nature? Of course. So heaven would be the absence of you. All the forces that have kept you in the stormy weather will increase the storm with threats and lies, tell you that you're going to lose your life as you practice this. But truth, listen to this. You ought to all cheer at this. Truth is stronger than falsehood. What chance does darkness have in the light? So if you put yourself on the side of light, the whole question of what, can I make it or not? Can I endure or not? Can I go back and try again 10,000 times, as the man says? Can I do it? Just do it. Don't ask whether you can do it. Just do it. You'll find you can do it. Because your new want is growing. And that is what wins the victory. Write it down, please, as sort of a summary up to this point. And you've been given it before, but give it to yourself again. No person deliberately harms himself. He or she injures himself because he doesn't know any better. Because he still is living under the tyranny of the want of the fire and the flame of the storm. Internal storms are not internal life. Now you're going to have to, let's go over it again. Oh, what an exercise. For you to catch yourself in daily action. You can even perceive your own growing excitement over someone who did something against you, made a mistake of some kind. You can see your growing and glowing excitement over blasting them. Boy, I can hardly wait to get there and to bawl that person out for what they did. Have you ever done that? All right. While you're walking from where you are to where he is, be a good soldier. March in a different way. On the way to the march, when you get to the other person, if you've done it properly, when you get to that person ready to give your usual outrageous, self-righteous blast, when you reach the other person, you'll be a new person. You'll be different. What happened to the anger? That's what I always used to. 10 times a day, I'd walk from that room over to that room and yell at someone. But this time, I wanted something different because I've understood self-destruction as self-destruction. I walked consciously, knowingly, up to that person. And when I got up to him or her, nothing happened that usually happens. You know why? This is you knowing in a small way, at least, what it means to walk with God. Do you know how rare it is to find a human being who really knows that? Everybody talks about it. Nobody knows it. They say, I walk with God. And they go from one room to the next, hating people, blasting them, feeling superior. When you get to that other person, you will know what it means to start to live with a new kind of want, and that is called God's will, not yours anymore. How do you like having your will? How do you like it? Pretty rough, huh? So please don't think that you have to find something, but you have to lose something, right? You say, I've got to find the purpose in life. You say, I've got to find the purpose in life. You're going to invent your own. The idiot self, with all these false wants and cravings, it's going to find a destination, a destiny. It's going to find a meaning and a purpose in life that will seem to make it seem real and authentic. But since it can't, the false can always be false. Oh, I tell you, aren't you weary enough yet to drop it all? Aren't you tired? No. Your fear of non-existence overcomes your weariness so that you don't dare to be completely weary and just collapse internally so that the new want can take you over and pick you up and start you walking in a new way. You see, you're hanging on for what you call dear life to yourself. And that impels you to invent false aims, false ways of behaving. See? You chose over a period of years a certain way to behave toward yourself, toward others. And this has become automatic, including all the stormy outbursts. You have chosen that. And you keep choosing it, saying someday it's going to prove itself while not being able to believe your own lie. And the evidence is in front of you that it won't lie, but you won't see that. You must see it. And so the tragedy continues, just repeats itself. Your lives are nothing but repetitious. Put every other phrase to that you want. Boring repetition. The feeling that you're in danger all the time. Don't you feel that? You feel threatened by the economics of this world. I know you do. You feel threatened by other people's behavior. You feel threatened by the evil in this world. Don't you? You want to feel threatened by human evil. Which is evil. You're a part of what you fear. You are it. You are the evil world. Don't you see it? Human sickness is part of the storm. You're part of the storm. You love it, and you won't let anyone lead you out. I don't want that want anymore. That's your key. See what it does? It identifies the thing, makes it clear, doesn't it? I have a certain want to behave self-destructively, to be moody, depressed. I want to feel depressed. That's why you are, because you want to feel depressed. If you didn't want to be, you wouldn't be. So remember that. You want to be depressed. You're saying, I don't want that want anymore. See, you're not trying to build anything. You're trying to lose something by understanding it. Instead of trying to find happiness, lose unhappiness. Instead of trying to find security, lose your false sense of security. See? What is it? What's your false sense of security? You've got a family. You've got a future after college. You're going to be a great man or a great woman. Or you have daydreams or hope. You know, everybody has their false securities. Drop them all so that you're not planning your own life anymore. You've made a mess of it with your plans, haven't you? I don't want to want that want anymore. Take that sentence, connect it with everything else we've talked about, and watch it work for you. Once upon a time, there was a moaning woman. And this moaning woman went around moaning. Already you know who I'm talking about, don't you? And she went around moaning something as follows. Oh, I can't take it anymore. Have you ever heard a moaning wind at night? you're in bed, and the wind's through the trees, all night long. Well, this was our moaning woman. I can't take it anymore. Nobody appreciates me. Nobody loves me. And of course, you can't figure out why. Such a lovable person like her. I think we're getting home. So she went around enjoying her misery, right? Sound asleep, loving, hating her life. Hating, loving her life. Now, she didn't know what was going on. All she knew is that there was a strange, weird kind of pleasure in being what she was and behaving from what she was. Now let's look closely at her. Let's see how many things we can see about her. First of all, have you already noticed that she has settled for a position in which she can never lose? In her twisted mind, in her sickness, she thinks, believes that by behaving in this moaning, groaning, unpleasant, conscienceless manner, she believes that she has found a way in which she always wins. Now, what does that mean? It simply means that she can always accuse and blame others for her problems. She can always declare herself innocent. If it's someone else's fault, then aren't you innocent? Of course. She's an innocent person. No problem, and always saying, I am right and you're wrong. That moaning, groaning woman is everyone. Simply a matter of degree, and with most people it's simply horribly 100 degrees in a state of lostness. Now here's something else. The first thing is that she has set it up so that in her self-conceit she can always be right. No one can ever prove her wrong because she has proven herself right by saying she is. Do you understand that that is the basis of self-righteousness and the way people live? Look, just say I'm right, and that's all there is to it. No complications, no challenges. Just say you're right and stick with it. Now, come on, let's pull off the gloves. Stick with it until it destroys you. Now you be alert to that. Are you defensive? Do you insist that you're right? Do you groan and moan? And, come on, secretly, hidden, of course. What that woman has created, let's identify her in a different way. You've heard of the mad scientist in the old castle. She's the mad female scientist in the old castle, creating the monster that is systematically destroying her. What she herself, by her ignorance, her self-conceit, her refusal to listen, she has created the monster that is killing her. Literally, killing any chance for something to endure beyond this life. See, few people have the courage to include in their start for a new kind of existence They're afraid to consider the fact of the physical life that you're having right now, and listen to how I say it now, and the other life, whatever it is. See, now don't identify it. Oh, what a dreadful mistake that is. Let's start over. People will not sit down quietly in their home and look around their living room and say, right now, here I'm seated here, and there's the television set, and there's the husband walking through the room, and out the window there are cars going by. And if I got up on top of a mountain, I could see hundreds of miles in every direction. If I got an airplane, I could see higher than that. If I get in a space rocket, I could see the whole globe down there that I live on. And now that represents my present life. People don't do this, but let's say this moaning woman, finally she got tired of that ghostly, ghastly life, and she sat down and she thought, now that's this life. Is there something else? Well, I guess not, she says. She's still groping. She's still got the moaning nature in her. I guess not, because I used to go to church once on Easter and once on Christmas. I used to go to church, and they talked about a different kind of an existence, but it didn't mean anything to me. Therefore, maybe there isn't. But let's give her a little bit of sincerity. And she begins to think, oh, just what? What is the chance that there might be something other than what I have now? What if there's the chance of it? That is the start. Because inside of her, her own moaning is becoming unendurable. Remember, this is one in a million, but I'm trying to get over to you the start. It has to start somewhere. And she says, just suppose there is something different. That could lead to any number and eventually all revelations which would begin to change her. One of them being the fact that she is creating her own false problems in order to enjoy their false exhilaration. I tell you, right here and now, there is never any need for you having any difficulties at all. There is no necessity for conflict. It is not required of you to be in distress. You are not required to worry over growing older. There is no demand on you that you look out into life, into the world, and compare yourself with other people, with situations, and then feel bad about it. There is no requirement that you have a very deep, underground, unseen, ununderstood, haunting, grievous condition. If you have any of these, it is because you won't let creative destruction begin. Creative destruction being what we discussed a bit last night, being you ceasing to try to acquire, add, change, and simply, look, I'll illustrate it with my hands. I have my hands up in front of me, clenched. The new way in which you no longer create the mechanical monster that turns against you is to simply open your hands. How can you get something anyway, outside of you with clenched hands. If you open them, then something valuable from outside yourself can come to you. All this we're talking about can be received by your mind. Whatever you do, don't be satisfied with that. Because if you will be satisfied with that, you'll be dissatisfied with that. Right? You will say, how nice. I don't have to swim against the current. I can float downstream. Isn't that nice? It is not nice. It is not nice because there's a waterfall down at the end of the river. And it's not nice to go over the waterfall. What is nice, which is so difficult to see, so you have to experiment and see for yourself what I'm talking about. What is really nice is to start to shake. That's nice. What is really good for you is to begin to fall apart until you cry out, my God, what is happening to me? Are you following? What's happening to me? Now you're getting it. Now you know that something bad was happening to you before, and it's becoming revealed to you. But the old habit system of imposing on this new experience the word bad and fear, it still imposes itself on the new experience. And so you still call it bad, not knowing that it's good. You used to call the good bad whenever it appeared to you, and you pushed it away. And now a good experience, a spiritual revelation is happening to you, and you call it bad because you fear the loss of your pseudo-security of calling where you used to call the good bad, and you fear the loss of that. This is the long, utterly complex and confusing experience that is good for you finally, because at the end of the valley of shadows and monsters, because at the end of it, there is no you to talk about it. In your present condition, you're always talking to yourself, aren't you? Making judgments, making comparisons, worried little utterances as to what's happening to you. You are always talking. Who is talking? The anxious, false nature, the self-conceited self. Get it? That's what's talking, and it is always talking babble. Babylon? Yeah. At the end of the experience, there is no one to judge, no one to say a word, no one to go around moaning, complaining. There is no one to speak, to act, to think in a wrong way. To judge, to try to impose its meaning on the experience. There is no one there. Now, you say, if there's no one there, then who's doing the experiencing of this new free state? See? See how your mind always works? You insist, don't you, on you being someone who understands. If you insist on there being someone to understand, you'll never understand. You always start with the false assumption that there's an entity there, a center to think from. There is no real center, personality, individual, to think from anything. It is thinking from a position that causes the screaming madness in the world, in the home, in the country, everywhere. In other words, an insane mind thinks from its insane mind, from a position. This insane mind has a position over here. This is his wife, his friend, his rival has another insane mind. Both of them vanity laden, and they hate each other, right? Competitive. All right. There's one thing to do. Go all the way. Go all the way from the start of the Valley of Shadows to the end of it. You know how I've illustrated it. It starts here and it dips down. That means you're getting conscious of your terror, of all the horrible confusion. It gets deeper and deeper, and all the monsters on both sides. Well, you just keep walking. And one thing you walk through is terrible disgrace. You know, most people, you'll agree with this. Let's talk confidentially for a minute. Most people don't know the bad things you've done in the past, right? The old girlfriend of 20 years ago, and you hope you never meet her again. I can see a few smiles out there. You know, all the evil little things you used to do, and you never get caught, luckily. You have to go through that so that there's only pure memory, unattached to an I self. All right. So you go to the end of the valley through all the disgraces, which, see, feeling disgrace is vanity. Aren't you saying, I'm terrible? What I did, how I behaved, see, you're hanging on to self-punishment, aren't you? You want the feeling of considering yourself an idiot, which of course you were. You were because you were asleep, not knowing you were an idiot. So you go to the end of the valley, which is now up here now. Now you understand. Now all is clear. Because up here, you're free of thought. Therefore free of all kinds of thoughts. Judgment, accusation, criticism. You're free of the wish to feel something. To feel yourself, feel your old experiences over and over again. You're free of it. And you really know now what it means to be a new person. Now we have to use the word person. We have to use words. To be a new and free person, really, in its depths, means to not be a person at all. You now have a personality, don't you? And it's so complex, I'll give you a little brief explanation. Natural personality is okay. It's okay for you to be born physically the way you are, and you develop certain, what you might call neutral personality traits. You talk a certain way, as long as it's not neurotic. I'm talking about differences without there being neurotic differences. That part is okay. Because in this life, we're different. Two apple trees are different from each other. One is tall and red apples, and one is short and green apples, whatever. At the end of the trail, up on the peak now, there is not you, but an understanding that, here we go into word problem again, but you get it, where something understands. And I tell you, you don't need any more definition than that. And please don't give it any more definition. Don't say your name and say, I understand, or you'll go into all the old assaults of identification and association without knowing it, and you'll get the vanity of saying, I understand, and that will spoil it. It means you won't understand. When you really understand, you're perfectly content to say, there's understanding. There's understanding. Kind of, you've got a nod toward the physical self. There's something there that understands. What is it that understands? You know what it is. A clear spirit, a heavenly light. Go on, get all the phrases and words you want. There is an understanding, and we say the word you consciously now, of which you are a part. If there's another man or woman on the other side of the world, I guess there's only two people in the whole world who really understand, there'd be no conflict between them, would they? They don't want to get the promotion down at the factory. They're not going to have a rivalry over getting the same woman or anything like that. Oh, no spiritual rivalry either, right? See if you can get this. God is everything. Totality. Now, if God is everything, how can you ever want more if you're with God? That's it. You've got it. Now, what have you really got? You've got rid of you. That's what you've got. And what's left over is real. Uncluttered, unspoiled by the surface personality. With time for a story. We'll all change positions. All right, all change positions? Cross your legs a different way, whatever. Okay, now we're nice and relaxed for story time. It's now story time. There was once a teacher who went all the way through the valley, came up on the other top. He knew the answers to life. And a lot of people heard about this man who had all the answers to life, true answers to life. And he had a temple down out in the country. Always make it romantic out in the country. Don't you want to get out of the big city? Yeah, no, the cluttered big city. People are crazy. The closer people are together, the crazier they are. Let's get out in the pretty countryside, all right? Okay, nice temple out in the pretty countryside. So he had his temple out there and stayed out there, and people all around the world heard that he could give them the answers that would solve their problems. Oh, a lot of people with problems out there in the world, right? So they all heard about him, and they started coming toward the temple. And when a troubled woman would come up to the temple, the teacher's assistant would meet the woman at the door, say, "Come in, miss, I see you have troubles." And she says, "Boy, have I got troubles." And she came. They start talking the minute they come up, I tell you, and they never stop. Even when they stop here, they don't stop there, right? He knew this. He'd been around. So he said, "Come in," and he had his the assistant had his little office in there. And the minute she sat down opposite the assistant, she started getting hysterical, breaking down and sobbing, groaning and moaning, and told him all her troubles, on and on and on, and the tears flowed, and she looked around, and she got her handkerchief out. And see, he knew it was a pretty good act. He was watching the acts. He knew it. He'd seen it 1,000 times. She was having the time of her life. Someone is watching me suffering. Isn't that great? I've got an audience. I tell you, without an audience, it isn't nearly the fun for them. And he looked calmly at her as she was carrying on, having the time of her life. For 5 minutes or so, he let her go on. There's a reason for it. And he said, "Miss, I want you to calm down. Not only that, but I want you to go home, and I want you to sit down quietly in your home for the next several days. And I want you to just sit down quietly in a chair in your living room. And I want you to do one thing, just one thing. I want you to clearly state your problem to yourself. As clear as you can, state the problem to yourself. No emotion, as you're displaying here. No crying. No blaming your ex-boyfriend. No blaming the financial system that you don't have enough money. You're simply to state your problem to you. No emotion. No dramatics. No self-pity. You go home, several days, I want you to sit down and do one thing. Calmly state the problem to yourself. She went out. Man came in, next visitor came in, wanted to see the teacher. The man said, well, can't see the teacher yet, but I can talk with you. The man came in, and he was the hard type, suppressing his anger. You've seen them. They're boiling their eye. They have hard eyes, hard face. They don't even know it. They don't even know it. You ever seen a man with a hard face? He didn't know it yet. Assistant sat there. This man was tense like this. He wasn't like the woman. He was pressing it down, but he was talking clipped little tones. Well, you go out in that world, and he mumbled, muttered. Gave him the same advice. Sir, I want you to go home. I want you to sit calmly in your home for several days. I want you to state the problem to yourself. That's all I want you to do. It confused him, of course. State the problem clearly to yourself. Now, no anger. No lashing out at the world. No fear of what's going to become of you. Just clearly state the problem to yourself. Over the years, hundreds of people came, and they were all given the same advice by the assistant. Go on home, state it to you clearly. Every once in a while, a man or a woman would come back and go into the assistant's office, and the man or woman would say, I understand. And the assistant would say, you don't even want to see the teacher, do you? I said, no need to see the teacher. When I stated the problem clearly to myself, I understood the answer. Because I saw that the problem was nothing more than me. I am the whole problem. I stated it clearly. I saw that the problem disappeared. There is no problem without a problem mind. There are thousands of problems as long as I am mixed up and confused and desperate and want to dramatize my problem. And these rare people who finally came back, they smiled a little bit. Their mood was entirely different now. They said, I guess the teacher knew this all along, huh? The assistant said, yes. That's why he gave me the instructions to tell you go home and solve the problem for yourself, which a few of them did. To this day, no one has any idea what the teacher looks like. Never saw him. Your clear spirit is the teacher. You want to know what he looks like? Never mind the solutions of society. Never mind the solutions you presently give yourself. The true teacher is your revealed true spirit. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to walk around for the rest of your life having the teacher inside of yourself to tell you what to do, what not to do, how to behave? Wouldn't that be nice? Now you don't have to go running around to temples. You don't have to go around seeking some human teacher. You have him. You have it. You have the Spirit of truth inside yourself. When you state the problem very clearly to yourself, which won't happen overnight, when you state it clearly, it will come as a revelation to you that indeed the way you are is the only problem. That's the beginning of the teacher speaking to you. And more and more and more as you listen, you want to hear spiritual instructions, they will come to you. Now, that's the way to live from this day forward. Let's state the problem. Let's state your problem, which is not what you think it is. You think your problem is many. You think your problem is that you're lonely, that you don't know what to do with yourself. You think your problem is that you're broke, don't have any money. You think your problem is that people don't treat you the way you would wish them to treat you. You think there are 10,000 problems, but you really have just one. Now attend to this one so that you can see for yourself what's being explained to you. Your problem is that you don't love life. Now, I didn't say your problem is that you don't love society. I said you don't love life with a capital L. Now, you have to start way back and try to understand what is meant by loving life. And when you do even suspect what it is, everything inside of you will begin to change. No, absolutely not. You do not love life. Let's find out our definition of life, first of all. Loving life means to love something new, something superior to what you now have, something different, something that you have not discovered as yet. So, that means that you can't just say with your mind right now, oh, okay, I'll love life. You can't do that because you don't know what life is. And you'll distort it, and unconsciously you will give your own definitions of life and stay lifeless. You would think, for example, that life consists of finally getting a few little pretty bubbles. Someone wants to marry you, or someone wants to give you gifts, or someone likes your company, or you have someone to talk to, something like that. Or you've found something that you can read that seems encouraging for you in your life goals. Start, therefore, with the fact that you must love life but don't know what it is. Now that's good. That's fine. Now you're not making any mistakes so far. You've been told what is true, what is good for you to do, but now you have to be slow, hesitant, rightly so. That is the hesitation of not being impulsive and putting our own definitions upon what life is. Loving life, therefore, starts with you seeing what you are loving instead of life. Now, that is something you can do. That is something you must do. What are you loving that is not life, that is not spiritual? Life being a spiritual world, a different world, a new world. What are you loving? Now you see, it's difficult for you to see false loves, because you never called them false. Up till now you haven't. You've called them good, true, necessary, bountiful, good friends. What you now love is what is making your mind and your emotions and your day and experiences what they are. You now presently love what you now are, whatever it is. Well, what is it? Don't you dare lie to yourself anymore. Oh, I tell you, if you listen to me, all of you, If you were clinging to any human being in any way, you are not loving life, you're loving lifelessness. Any human being you can get in close contact with will drag you down to his level. You dumb people, you don't want to see that. You have this stupid, false, clinging security, which is no security. See, look, all of you, you're all always a candidate for the crack-up, aren't you? Aren't you? You're so afraid you're going to lose that stupid man in your life. For heaven's sake, why did you get involved in the first place? You're so dumb. Some of you women, you can't even see what he's doing to you, why he's doing it. It's a terrible thing, dreadful thing, a fierce thing to be in a state where you love lifelessness instead of life. Our purpose here is to shock you awake so that you become inwardly stronger than the evil that has strangled you. You don't know you're being strangled? I am telling you that you are. Now, if you want to listen to yourself, go ahead. There's no hope for you. There is no hope for you if you listen to yourself. None at all. You're gone. You're through. No point talking to you. Goodbye. I've been giving you a chance. I've been giving you this chance to see something new and to be someone different if you want it. All the time that you're in a state of unconscious sleep, you don't, that is living only from your mind and looking out with eye. Look, I can look at your face and read you. You can look at each other's faces and read each other, can't you? Why don't you read yourself with that skill? If you're afraid of anything, you're in the wrong place internally. Now, there it is. There it is. If you're afraid of anything or anyone, you're in the wrong place internally. Why do you do anything at all? Everything you do because you're scared. Everything you do because you're scared, and that is no life at all. Well, it's certainly no love, is it? Certainly no fun. How about the word fun? Will that get a little closer to you? Your life is no fun. It's one drag after another. Attached to all these people, hoping that they know what they're doing. My dear ladies and gentlemen, they don't know. He doesn't know. She doesn't know what they're doing. How do you expect him or her to give you anything good when all they have is self-destruction? Oh, I know how much this is for you to grasp. You're sitting here in front of me now, hearing what could liberate you from yourself, and your walls are that thick. The reason I know that is because I've given you these talks before, and you don't change. You don't start to walk away. You stupidly, ignorantly want to continue the downward path. Woe unto you when you have gone to the 51% mark of loving pain more than you love instruction. Let's reverse it. Let's reverse it right now. Come on. Yield yourself, even if you don't know what it means to yield yourself. Yield yourself to the unknown. Now you yield yourself to the known, the repetitious, the habitual. You know what to do, don't you? You know what to do in any situation. What you know what to do is to get scared, is to get impulsive, to cling to you, to cling to what is destroying you, whether it's thoughts or feelings, attitudes, or human beings, or organization, or a way of life. Your way of life has no life at all. How many times have we said, let me repeat it, this class is not for the masses. This is not for society as a whole out there. They're on their way to hell. And we want to find out in society those who are on their way to hell but don't want to be. And that's what we're talking about this morning. You see, let me explain a certain very special kind of hidden self-deceit by which you go through your day. You're told to change yourself, to change from bad to good, to go up the ladder, all the ways we've explained the spiritual ascendancy to you. And your tricky mind reacts in a very special way, which you're now going to uncover for the first time. When you're told to, let's generalize now, to be good instead of bad, for your sake, because it's bad to be bad, it's hell. When you're told to be good, your mind responds with a certain devious, malicious reaction. That reaction is, well, you told me to be good. Well, I'm not bad. I don't go out and commit crimes. I'm not in jail. I don't assault people physically. I don't steal their money. I'm not bad. I'm a good average person. A few faults, but I'm not a bad person. See, the lies from the dark places inside of you are always ready to spring up, and that is one of them. Now let me show you something. Let me show you why you have a lifeless, loveless life. Let me show you how you're deceiving yourself with handy, ready-made words. You say, I'm not bad, therefore I must be good. Therefore, what's the need of me plunging deeply, wholeheartedly into this? Why can't I just go home and live my own life the way I see fit? And that was answered in one of the booklets, by the way. You do live your life the way you see fit. How do you like it? You hate it. You hate your life, don't you? Yes. All right. You say, I'm not bad. I don't rob banks. I don't do things like that. But listen to me. What have you done for yourself in positive action? If you are not studying your mind, if you are not being open to criticism from yourself and others, if you're not putting God first, you're bad. Now you see, you said you weren't bad. You don't rob banks. Anybody can say such a shallow, idiotic thing as that. It's bad to be lost, which you are. Every one of you in this room. Every one of you. Don't kid me. You've kidded yourself long enough. You can't kid me. You're lost. You're miserable and you're hostile. You're greedy. You always have a comeback, don't you? That's your badness. Truth comes along, such as the pure truth you're hearing this morning, and you always have an idiotic reply to it. How dumb can you get? You'll get even dumber as you go along unless you listen to what you're hearing this morning and be willing to have the correction. All right. To be bad means you're not spiritually good. Now, to be spiritually good means that you're earnestly trying. You understand how fierce the battle is because you know you've been a captive of the enemy. You ask them to show you mercy and they show you no mercy, right? You ask the world, come on, Please give me a raise. Please say you love me. Please say something. The world will show you no mercy. Why are you so dumb as to expect it to? All right. So, authentic badness means that you're not being what is really good, which really good means to work persistently, go all out to get rid of your badness. Now, what's your badness? Your badness is being you. Your evil is a persistence in your repetitious nature, the one that you came into this room with. Heaven help you if you go out of this door the same way you came in. And if you stay away from further meetings, rejecting the truth, your hardness will become harder. And that is nothing is worse on this earth, believe me, than for a human being to come to a place of reality, truth like this, and then go away. If you have rejected what you've heard here this morning, when you go out the door, I know exactly what your mind is doing. I know what it's saying, and your emotions are tied in with it. A flood. See, you've been disturbed. All of you have been disturbed so far by what you've heard. And if you've rejected it, the disturbance will increasingly mount as you go away. You only have one chance. I'm speaking to all of you listening to me now, whether you're here in this room or listening to this cassette tape. I tell you of a truth, whether you accept it or not, whether you believe it or not, unless you come back here to every meeting and listen with an open mind and an open heart, you have lost the purpose of life, and you have decided to stay in love with what is systematically destroying you. Well, what do you think we do here all the time? We show you, if you're willing to see it, what you're doing against yourself. Never mind about spirituality and things like that for now. Just see what a mess you are. Just see. Come on. See how much hatred you have in your heart right now. Right now! Nobody can tell you anything, can they? You know. Look at your face, for heaven's sake. You, a man with your manner, your words, your attitude, you know. Now look. You've never examined yourself, so you don't know the truth of what I just said. I said you're loaded with hatred. I'm not loaded with... Oh, yes, you are. Oh, wait. Just wait till the right challenge or crisis or difficulty comes along and watch what you do. You'll blast out of hell like a devil in violent hatred, right? You know very well, and I know it. Don't kid me. I know how you behave at home. I know exactly how you behave. And I know that sometimes when you're alone, you go crazy. You go into crazy fits at home, don't you, when no one's watching? You don't want them to see how mad you are, how insane you are. That's the first thing. To see that as you now are, you're hopeless to save yourself. Pretty hard on your vanity to say that, isn't it? We know that too. We know that. We know everything about you, and you know nothing about yourself. You know nothing about yourself. It's all been so long concealed. How old are you? That's how long it's been concealed. That's how long you've pushed it down, hoping that no one would ever see through you. You idiot. How can you be so dumb? Only what can see through you can save you. You're a thirsty man wandering around the desert, and the kindly man comes along with a cup of water, cool, pure water, and he hands you the cup of water, and you, in your insanity and hysteria and madness and chaos, smash the water to the ground. You sure have a lot of nerve calling yourself intelligent. And you sure have a lot of self-deception to continue to do that in spite of all the emotional evidence that you feel inside. Those of you who decide in favor of life, of love, those of you who decide in favor of yourself, this is the most glorious moment of your existence. Come on, it's okay. Now listen to me. I know how terrified you are. That's okay. You're not condemned. No one hates you. No one looks at you and says he's scared. We know you are. You have no choice. You've never had any choice in your life. You've always been terrified. You've always been worried what that horrible, hideous world out there is going to do to you. Haven't you? How's your stage performance lately? You know, your big bluff in pretending that you're not scared, that you know more. For example, you know more than the man giving the talk. You know more than anybody. How's your stage performance? You forget your lines down then, do you? You get a little... Here we say to you, Miss, Mrs., Mr., come on up. Come into the room. Bring your play acting script with all the dialogue, all the stage directions, all the prop and the scenery, like all the books in your living room. Bring all your props here and let us show you that the whole script with all its detailed instructions, all that script is lifelessness. Come, listen. It's wearing you out, isn't it? Come on, say yes. Now, the first time you've been honest in 10 years, some of you. I instructed you to be honest, and some of you obeyed. It's wearing you out. See, isn't it strange and interesting, too, that a human being can't see himself as an outside observer does? For example, some of you during the break, some of you students here will look at other people, maybe a new person or two or anyone. You look at them and you see they don't know it. They're talking with someone else and they're not even looking at the other person. Their eyes are over here a little bit and they're dazed and glazed and they're talking mechanically like that. You know they're gone, right? They don't know they're gone. They don't know that is lifelessness. They don't know that is pain. They don't know that they're wandering around in a vast, dark cavern. We will teach you that you are. And that is life, the beginning of it. That is love. That's correction. See, the world, which is both in you and out of you, the world hates you. The word hatred, that's very meaningful to you, don't you? Isn't it? Because you live with it so much, your own, right? All right. The hatred that is in you is the same hatred that the world hates you with while pretending that they love you. Why don't you sometimes, a little side thought here, it's very interesting. Why don't you sometimes just look around at the people who are close to you, anyone close to you, and remember at the same time what you've got here, what you've been instructed about. And you look at that person and let yourself be overwhelmed by the information that you've got here, the truth. Be overwhelmed by it. And if you do, you will hear a new utterance come up into your mind. And you can say it silently. Don't say it to the other person, because they're hostile and they're hateful and they'll hit you. All they know is to hit. Evil people, all they want to do is break windows and grab and hit. Right. You say to yourself, after remembering what you've learned here, you say, he's what I have for a friend. My God help me. she's the woman that I'm going around with, that I think cares for me, gives me comfort, gives me sex, whatever. Now, I better give you a little summary. All human relationships are wrong until you have a right relationship with yourself, and you know you have a wrong one with yourself, don't you? You know it. Look at the mess you are. You can't think one clear thought a week. In some cases, make that a month. All right. It is possible for you to be resourceful. Do you know what the word resourceful means? It means that in spite of the challenge, the event, the circumstance, you do not fall under the event, but you are resourceful and look back inside yourself for an answer, a right action. In other words, you don't stand and be hypnotized by it, and let it take you over, but you stay awake. You look around, you look inside, and you know how to behave because you're resourceful. Now, there are two kinds of resourcefulness. The first one is the one you now live in, because it's all self-conceit, self-glorification. Something comes up, whatever problem comes up, a challenge, you're self-resourceful mentally only. That is, you always look for your self-interest in the response that you're going to give. You're resourceful because you're vanity-laden and because you're afraid. And you want your response to the challenge to serve your ego self, your vanity nature, your contrived surface personality. That is false wreckage, self-reference, and resourcefulness. Does nothing for you. And this is the way you're now living. You have nothing beyond that, whether you know it or not. You have nothing but that. Well, you tell me what you have outside of your own miserable little wretched mind to refer to. You have nothing. And even if you refer to another person's mind, he's as wretched as you are, so you're going right back to yourself again. The old story of the same level. Spiritual resourcefulness is what we want. It will come to you as the folly of referring back to what you now are becomes apparent to you. There's no point in you asking yourself how to solve problems anymore, because only the idiot self will give you an idiotic answer. You know that. It's your life. Look, I'm asking you to see how true what has been described about you is. Isn't it true? Haven't I described you exactly? I know some of you don't want it to be true. Now, isn't that stupid? Truth is true, and you don't want it to be true. I think this is the third time I've asked you, how dumb can you get? Maybe you better answer, then we can start all over. Spiritual resourcefulness is something else. It is already here and complete. All you have to do is willingly open the door to it, walk through into the other room, and there it is. Everything you want, the whole treasure of the universe. All the resourcefulness you want for handling anyone in this world, in this life. All you have to do is know that you're in the dark room, want to enter the room of light, and there is everything you need for behaving 100% perfectly in this world, which means, get this, that you will have happiness on this earth. And you're not going to kid yourself into thinking that you're going to inherit some future heaven. That is time thinking, and you'll never make it. You walk from the dark room into the lighted room. Don't you know that it's light? Of course you do. You can be in the dark room and call it light, in which case you're a religious hypocrite, in which case you're a self-deceived neurotic. The person who truly loves God, who truly loves truth, makes a certain effort to go through the door to where it's light. Then you look back and see how foolish you were all these years. Now you know that the foolishness is behind you because you're in the place that's right and light.